This is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report, and I want to talk a little bit about cannabis, the legalization in regards to recreational and in regards to medical, and where it's going on a global basis and what may be stifling it, this thing called regulation. So you got this whole legalization movement that's been going around. You know, you got states like California, Massachusetts, Maine, Nevada, Washington. They're all out there and they're legalizing recreational drugs. Some of them doing it just this year. Over here in Florida, Arkansas, Montana, North Dakota, you got those guys out there, and they're legalizing it for medical usage, which is a good thing. I'm an advocate of it. But prior to 2016 election, if you look at it, there were already 25 states out there that had passed medical marijuana laws. And they suspect in 2017 that you'll see a lot more like Arizona, Hawaii, Rhode Island, Texas, and they're all going to join this movement to decriminalize the cannabis. Think about that. The pro-pot movement essentially was launched, well, they say it was launched here in the United States, and essentially was, but it's been spreading globally. It's a global issue out there. And if you look at a lot of the countries like the Netherlands, Portugal, they're experimenting with decriminalization. And what it has done is it's taught the world the lesson on the importance of respecting the personal choice that people have out there in the ineffectiveness of the drug war that's been pursued out there, especially here in the United States. You got countries like Uruguay and Canada. They legalized and they regulated weed, though, which helped to remove the stigma associated with it. And then you got other countries out there, you know, that are doing what Florida's done with the medical aspect of it. Ireland, Australia, Germany, and those guys. Chile, they've gone ahead and they've taken the private and personal use of cannabis and basically decriminalized it. And they've done this for a few years now, going back, like 12 years, I believe, since 2017. And so you get out there and you look at the whole decriminalization aspect of it, what Portugal is primarily known for. The possession of all drugs have been decriminalized, and it's been this way for about 16 years. And it's a move that has that helped to ensure that drug dealers and the users of these drugs don't get sucked into this legal black hole that we find many of the drug users and sellers are getting sucked to here in the United States. And it's actually helped to curb a lot of the abuses that you see out there. And the quest for justice has been leading a lot of nations towards this legalization. But it's going to come with regulation. And that's what we're seeing with a lot of issues out there. And basically, the legalization helps to protect us users, not us, I don't smoke it, but the users out there and the sellers of it. But regulation steps in, and it insulates certain growers and sellers that will give them access to the markets, keeping the competitors out. And what it does is it imposes taxes, it imposes expensive rules. The regulations, what they all do when government gets in there and sets barriers to entry into different markets out there. And what a lot of people are saying, there was this one book out there, actually it was a piece where a guy talked about basically Ryan McKeon. He's with Mises Institute, talked about driving the market underground again. And the problem has to do with how they're federally banning marijuana. And it's still there, it's still in place, despite states freeing it up, despite the popular pressure out there. Many weed businesses in states where cannabis is legal don't have access to financial institutions. Think about it. Because of the federal laws that are out there. They don't even have, in a lot of cases, they can't even process credit cards. So it's all cash business, which makes it pretty dangerous for those store owners. And they have very few options when it comes to funding and getting the capital together to go out and start one of these operations. It's very difficult. That's why you can see someone like Morgan & Morgan that's huge into it, and they were big pushers of the medical marijuana here in the state. They also have a hard time opening the business bank accounts, which is the big thing there. Or how about on taxes? They can't take tax deductions. They can't benefit from tax credits. So basically, they're out there and they're paying the highest tax rate they can on the money at 70%. But then again, it's all cash business, and I'm not sure how much of that gets reported. So you got some pros and cons to it. And being a business owner, I know a lot of people out there that, would rather get cash and it goes unreported, unfortunately. Me, I get everything credit card, so I got to report everything. But there's no laws that will credit. I get checks too. There's no laws though out there that are prohibiting or regulating the sale of use of cannabis that are in place. And regulation cannot, if you think about it, cannot stand in the way of these private institutions going out and making these businesses and producing some revenue off this legal sale of marijuana, be it recreational or medical. And when it comes to weed consumption, choice is what guarantees the product's quality out there. It guarantees the customer satisfaction too. And hopefully you'll get this global legalization out there, this trend, and a lot of people are hoping that it will continue. And it'll bring focus back to decriminalizing it. And there's also a lot of concern with the federal aspect of it here in the States. You know, freeing it up, getting rid of regulations, recognizing cannabis as being legal so that these people can go out and get bank accounts, so that people can go out and get capital to start up their own institution, their own weed store, and get some healthy competition out there. Okay, this has been Francesco Abruzzino with the Uncensored Report.